In this how-to segment, we're going to show you how to load, save, and share setups. And we're going to go over how to bind in-car controls to your steering wheel or keyboard so that you have access to them during a racing session. Hello everyone, we're here today to work on how to load a setup, and we're also going to describe, once you have that setup, you can share it amongst your fellow drivers in a session, and you can also share it online in our forum. Okay, when you load up into the garage for the first time, you'll notice that you've got three options. The first is called iRacing Setups. When you click this, you'll see that we provide default setups for you for each race car in iRacing. Here you've got high, low, medium, and of course baseline. The next option is called Shared Setups. When you click this, in a live session, this is a place where drivers can share their setups with other drivers. Here you'll see that Kevin has shared his setup with the entire room. And if I wanted to, I could click that, load it onto my race car, and give it a try. Finally, we've got My Setups. When you look at My Setups, you'll see these are from all setups that you've made or downloaded that are available to you that are stored on your hard drive of your computer. So there's a variety of setups here, and we'll go into choosing one in just a moment. So to begin, if this is your first time using iRacing setups, we suggest you choose a default setup based on the track that you're running. As you can see, we are in the Daytona prototype here at Daytona, and for this track, it's appropriate to choose a low downforce setup. Since I selected a low downforce setup, I want to make just a few changes. To do that, I'll go into the chassis, and just for example, I'll lower some fuel out of the race car. In this example, I'm just taking about 10 gallons out of the gas tank. When I'm done making my changes, I click Apply. You'll see that the numbers on screen change to reflect the changes that I made on the race car. After I've done that, I can click Done, and I can go race. But before that, I want to save this change. So to do that, you go up to the option here, Save As. You click it, and then give it a quick title so that you know what you were doing. Sean Daytona Race. I'm going to save that. And now, if you go back to My Setups, you'll see it's right here, Sean Daytona Race. That way I can feel free to load that setup, I can make changes on it, save it, and that way I don't get confused as to which setup I'm working with. Now the next thing you can do is you can share this setup with the entire room. Because I'm in a live session right now, all I want to do is go and click Share. Here I get to choose who I can share it with. Right now there's 2 drivers in the session. I can share it amongst the club that I'm affiliated with, or I can just share it with everyone. In this case, I'm going to share the setup with everyone. Select that option, click OK. If I go into Shared Setups now, I'll see my setup and Kevin's. We'll select mine for right now. As you can see here, I've chosen my setup. What I'm going to do now is now that it's loaded on, I'm going to go into a session and test. All you have to do is go down and click Done once you've loaded the setup that you would like to use, and you can go right into the practice session. When it's time to look for a setup in the forum, one great place to go is your own club forum. I'm going to look in here, and here we have a setup for the Daytona prototype. You'll know that this is a setup file because it's got the extension .sto. When you're ready to download that file, all you have to do is click it, and then you want to save it in the proper location. This is very important because if you don't save it in the right folder, you're not going to be able to have access to it when you get into a live session or test. So I'm going to go search for the proper location, go to Documents, go into iRacing, then you want to click into Setups, and then you want to make sure you save it in the proper car folder. In this case, it's the Riley DP, and this is my iRacing TV setup right here. I'm just going to save it, and then close. So that's how you save a setup from the forums into the proper car folder so that you have access to it when you go online. And now we're going to go online and load in that setup. Once you've saved the setup from the forum into the proper folder on your hard drive, it's time to retrieve it and then load it onto your car in a live test session. So now that you've saved it, it's one of your setups. You go to My Setups, and we saved the iRacing TV setup, so I've found it here. I've clicked it once, and I click Open. You'll see that once it's done, it registers the name of the setup up here, iRacing TV setup, and then the green light for done comes on. If I wanted to, I could go in and make adjustments, but right now I just want to go test. So I'm going to click Done, and then enter the practice session. I just completed a test session with the setup that I found on the forum. What I'd like to do now is I've just made a few small adjustments to it, and I'd like to save it and then share it with my club mates back on the iRacing forums. So to do that, I'll apply my changes. Then I'm going to save as and give it a quick title. Save the title. You'll see that the setup has changed. And when I'm done, I'll click Done. I just finished a test session, and what I'd like to do now is take the setup that I was racing with, and I want to share it now with my club mates in Club Massachusetts. So I found the forum section for that in the Club Mass Garage. I simply click it, and now I need to post a new topic. I want to give the topic a title, Daytona Road Setup for Riley DP. Quick description, which is be identical to the title here, Daytona Road Setup for Riley DP. I'm going to specify that this is for racing, not qualifying, because you can use different setups for each. Now what I need to do is I need to go find the setup. So I start with my documents right here, then I click iRacing, then I click Setups, and now I'm going down to the Riley DP folder. Then I choose the iRacing TV Club Mass setup, which is exactly what I saved when I was in the test session. When I'm ready, I click Open, and now that my title, description, and file are here, I'm ready to go down and actually submit this. Once the setup has been submitted, it'll appear in the forum just like this. And now other members from this club can go down and download the file and then upload it into their own test session. So after looking at all of this, this should give you a pretty good feeling for how to take a setup off the forum, bring it into iRacing, into a live test session or a race or qualifying session, and then load it into your car, change it if you want, practice with it, and then load it back up onto the forums to share with other iRacers. So I hope you enjoyed this section of our how-to. In the most recent build that launched this October, we added a great new feature that allows you to bind in-car controls to the steering wheel or to your keyboard. That way you've got access to them while you're driving in a live session. To do that, it's pretty easy. You just want to go up to the Options menu once you're loaded into a session. Then you want to go down to In-Car. And for this example, we're going to change the pit speed limiter from the keyboard button A to our wheel right up here. So again, all I have to do is click it and then assign it with a simple control. The next thing we're going to add is brake bias. So we're going to increase our brake bias in the car by using that button and decrease the brake bias using the button right below it. Again, it's okay if you don't have a G27. You can simply use these controls on your keyboard. When I'm done, I go down and click Done, and now we can go test it. So as we're coming into the pits here, I want to test to make sure that my pit speed limiter is working. So I'm going to click A. And as you can hear, pit speed limiter is working and it's keeping me right at the proper speed. It works all the way through the pits, and when I leave the pits, I just simply click it off and we're good to go. Different cars in iRacing have different controls that you can bind. In this case, with the Daytona prototype, I've chose to bind the brake bias adjustment And now I can go up and down by using the controls I've set up on the steering wheel. I can do that at any time while I'm racing. Again, if you don't have the G27, that's no problem. You can bind these keys to your keyboard.